Hi, I'm Roy Collin, the host of the podcast. You can find everything about me by scanning the QR code there or going to roycollin.com. And you'll find my 6 podcasts: the Podfather, helping people become podcasters; the Awakening, exposing fraud and corruption but with solutions; the Crypto, all things blockchain technology; Meditation podcast; Speaking podcast; and the Learn Polish podcast. You can also help the show by actually making a donation, visiting the store, or helping my sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. My guest is an award-winning author, vibrational mentor, and founder of the Alignment Circle, a transformative trance-coaching program that helps experts, coaches, and leaders overcome self-doubt, stress, and imposter syndrome. Inspired by insights from divine intelligent OPRA, I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, you can correct me. She developed the Clarity Activation Framework with the tagline, "Think less, drive more." Our unique method empowers clients to shift from overthinking to heartfelt action, building resilience and reconnecting with their inner truth. From Georgia, please welcome Ramona Galey.
Oh, thank you so much for a kind introduction, Roy. I am so glad to be here and I can't wait for our chat.
I'm looking forward to it. We already had our little music session prior to recording. So I know it's going to be a good one. So I suppose, I know exactly what you're doing. I know about the book. I've looked at reviews and everything, but I want to know a little bit about Ramona first, your own kind of journey.
Well, let's see. I led a very non-traditional life, I'd have to say. I knew that I didn't want to work any sort of normal job. And so I became a classical musician. I was a classical trumpet player for many years. And I went through many, many careers after that, many different industries. And I love novelty. And by the time I reached age 55, I had accumulated a lot of resistance on my path, is the way we say it now. I had no spiritual paradigm and no beliefs in God. I didn't say God didn't exist, but I didn't say God did exist. I just didn't know, and I had been looking. And my life partner, Betty, of 24 years, my beloved Betty, she developed pancreatic cancer, and she died. She died in my arms, and that really took the wind out of my sails, knocked my feet out from under me, as they say. And I was quite in despair. I was quite carrying on. And I was planning on actually taking my own life. And about a week after she died, my friend Madge had just left. And I was preparing my suicide note. And the phone rang. And it was Betty's best friend, Lordella. And Lordella recognized where I was, even though I didn't tell her. But I mean, I was crying a lot and I don't even remember what I was saying, but she said, whoa, you got to stop thinking like that right now. And I said, Adela, I'm 55 years old. I've been trying to control my thoughts my whole life. I don't know how. And so she said, have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks? And I said, no. Is that a disease? I was thinking of Braxton Hicks, So I didn't know what that was at all. But she shared with me. We talked for about an hour that day. And she sent me a bunch of CDs that she had. I got some books, first from the library and then, of course, from Amazon, and started really studying and doing their guided meditations and learning all the material. I eventually went to about 40 of their workshops over about 5 years. And what I really wanted was a personal teacher, like a private teacher. When I was a classical trumpet player, if I didn't know how to do something, I would hire somebody who did. I would, pay somebody who did know how to do it, and they would teach me how to do it one-on-one. And that's what I wanted for this new phase of my life. And I couldn't find anybody. Esther Hicks, who does Abraham Hicks, she doesn't take private students. She doesn't even do small groups. She just does these big, huge workshops, hundreds and thousands of people. And so I would go to those workshops and studied all that material. And then about 5 years ago, I started doing actually exactly what she does, very similar to what she does. And that spiritual awakening, if you will, has just completely changed my life. I'm just so different from the way I used to be, and the way I look at things, the way I feel inside, the way I feel about myself, the way I feel about other people. Everything has changed. And I'm so glad and I'm so blessed. And so now I provide for others what I couldn't find at the time, which made my journey a lot longer and a lot more arduous than it needed to be. So now I help people on that same journey. Anybody who is looking for that type of support that I can give, I take great pleasure in providing that support for others. So there you have it.
And what's interesting is, like, at your dark point, somebody phoned when you need it. I've heard so many cases of people I know that it's like they were ready to throw in the towel. And it's like,
Yes.
whether you call it an angel, divine intervention, whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
like somebody's putting a hand out to you and saving you when you need it most.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe that that is always available to us, no matter how far down we are, no matter how dark it seems to us. That essence of goodness, of pure love is always available, and it will come to you. If you're open to it, it will come.
So, vibrational mentor.
Yes.
What's a vibrational mentor?
Well, first of all, just to soothe anyone who's like, "Oh, vibrational mentor, I've never heard of that." Well, that's because I made it up. It's a title I made up. And so vibrational, because I've come to learn that everything in our life, all of our feelings, our thoughts, our actions, our words, everything in the universe is vibrational. Everything's vibrating. And, even this table that I'm sitting at, it feels solid. But if you look at it, closely enough with special equipment, you can see that it's atoms with space in between, and they're all vibrating. And it doesn't feel like that when you touch the table, but they are. And so sound is vibration, emotions, like everything we're doing is vibrational. So as I started to learn about what that meant, what it felt like, more importantly, what does it feel like for me to be on a low vibration as opposed to a high vibration? And as I worked that out more and more, I understood that what people actually want is not more stopgap actions. You know, go for a walk. I mean, these things are all excellent tools. I'm not dismissing them at all, but, take a long hot bath, pet a cat, take a nap. There are all these actions that we can do to soothe ourselves to get back into vibration. But what we really want is to be able to control our own vibration, which means controlling our thoughts and our focus. And once you learn how to do that, and it's not hard because you're just remembering. I don't actually teach anybody. That's where the mentor part comes. I'm not a teacher. I'm not even really a coach. I'm a mentor in that I walk the talk. I demonstrate. I'm a role model. I can sit right, like I remember when I was a trumpet student, and I would sit right next to my teacher, the two of us sitting in chairs right next to each other. And frequently this person would say, I would say, well, how do you do such and such? And they would say, well, like this. And they would demonstrate. That vibration, I didn't know it then, but that vibration actually influenced me so that now I could do it. He didn't have to say, put your tongue here and use your fingers here and hold your breath there. And it wasn't like by braille, it was by vibration. And so this is what I do for others. So we have sessions twice a week, and that's to keep a really good momentum going. We get the momentum going, and then we keep it going. And when Oprah comes on board with me, we just bathe everyone who's present in unconditional love in a way, because we're always being, all of us are always being bathed by unconditional love, but we don't focus on it because of where our culture is, that we're all up in our heads. But when you're looking at another human being, in this case, me, and infinite intelligence is coming through me and bathing you with unconditional love, you can feel it a lot easier. Once you've felt it, you will never go back to living without it. And so you feel it more and more and more until you get to the point where you can produce it yourself. You can, or not produce it, but let it in. And so that's how it all works.
And you mentioned the Oprah. I mean, most people, when they hear Oprah, they think of the OPH, but this is OPRA. So you might explain what you mean by the Oprah.
Yeah, Oprah. So this is infinite intelligence. Some people would say it's my inner being, because we all have an inner being, right? So we're physical and we're non-physical at the same time. As we're here on this planet, we're still connected to non-physical. And so non-physical is God or infinite intelligence, source, but some people call it Mother Nature, Father Sky, Allah, just whatever you call it. It's that thing that's bigger than us, that thing that connects us to everything and everyone, that thing that we call on, that thing that causes the phone to ring when you're about to take your own life. That, whatever that is, which I don't anthropomorphize. Some people say, think of it as a actual person, like a human type person who's looking down and judging and making distinctions and stuff. And I don't see it that way. I see it as a cosmic essence that all of us have, that all of us are part of, all of us are constantly expressing, and it's just pure goodness. That's the part that's important to me, is it's pure love, it's pure goodness. You can't hurt anyone with infinite intelligence. You can't hurt anyone with pure love. And that was very important to me, that then I not ever hurt anyone, do no harm. The doctor's creed, I feel very strongly also. So yeah, that's what Oprah is. They gave themselves a name. I was like, I didn't want to call them Oprah. I didn't want anybody else to think I was claiming that I was channeling Oprah Winfrey. But it was a joke, actually, when I found out why they picked that name. But they were adamant that that's their name. They said I could spell it any way I want. It didn't have anything to do with Oprah Winfrey, but that was the name. So I acquiesced after some struggle.
But
So
like some people have like the mental clutter, they're just thinking the whole time and they can't get focused and everything. So what advice would you give for people? Because I constantly meet people like that. And I suppose maybe in my earlier days I done it, and then I kind of learned, not through meditation, through a lot of different things, that when I'm doing stuff I'm doing. But I meet people and they're like, they're just, oh, my head is doing 90, I can't sleep, my head is doing 90. And you try to guide them, but it's like, so there's people I know listening now that are in that situation. So
yeah.
what's the best advice for them?
Well, first of all, I will say I was definitely that person before my spiritual awakening. I had tried to learn meditation. I had gone to just lots of different spiritual seeking, which included a lot of, and I could not do it. My brain was full the way you're describing, and also my body would not cooperate. My body would fall over, my body would fall asleep, my head would do weird things, and it was very frustrating. And once I'd had this spiritual awakening, excuse me. Once I had this spiritual awakening and I started following Abraham Hicks' guided meditations, which is you're listening to somebody else, it helps to relieve your brain from thinking, because they have this off-kilter breathing thing. They have the breathe in and then breathe out, but it's not like every 3 beats. It's like 5 beats and then 7 beats, or I don't know, 3 beats and 5 beats, or some sort of odd thing for in and out. And so you're focusing on that instead of all of your thoughts. And that was, I would say, the first breakthrough. So if you're struggling with that, that would be one thing to consider, to find a really high quality guided meditation, not one where the person starts off saying, release all your problems. That kind of meditation, I'd recommend away from that. But somebody who really knows what they're doing and who's always focused on the wanted and will guide you through that. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say that really helped me a lot was to get moving. And I did not find out that I was a kinesthetic processor. There's visual processors and there's auditory processors and there's kinesthetic processors. And I was an education major in college, and we were taught that the kinesthetic processors are those kids that won't sit still. They're always in trouble. They don't do well in class, and, they act out. They're bad behavior problems. And so I was taught to kind of disrespect, actually, kinesthetic processors. And I assumed I was a visual processor because visual processors do well in school and, get good grades and behave themselves. So I made an assumption all through my life. When I was in my 40s, I found out that I was a kinesthetic processor. And so here's what I would say for any of your listeners who might suspect or know that they are at least majority or significantly kinesthetic processors. And this is just my theory now, okay? I think that because the universe is always expanding, and because you and I and everybody are always expanding, and all of these different components are always expanding at different rates and different topics, there's all this expansion. It's an inherently unstable platform here on the physical plane. And if you're kinesthetic at all, and you sit down and try to be still within a universe that's moving, there's some part of you that goes, this doesn't feel right. This is unnatural. This doesn't go with the flow. And so I've been able to, or I should say Oprah has been able to introduce to many clients a moving meditation. And what that is, they frequently will work out directly with the client. They will envision or something. They'll send me some sort of a signal, and I'll speak the words. And so people have discovered all sorts of really meaningful, really helpful, moving meditations that take all of that other stuff away, all of that angst and that busy mind. And then the third thing I would say is, as you're learning to control your focus, which is one of the things that I role model a lot and give feedback on a lot, then you can choose, like Esther Hicks focuses on the air conditioner in the room when they're doing these workshops. There's always an air conditioner running. A lot of people generate a lot of heat. Even if it's cold outside, there's always air conditioner running. And so she will listen to that air conditioner, which is just this very benign background, no meaning to it, no purpose to it, no urgency to it. So, in other words, choose something to focus on. And you might try 10 different things before you find the one that really works. Different sounds, different sights. Some people keep their eyes open and just look at a part in the ceiling or high on the wall. So there's many different ways to get over that we go over. And I'm sure you have a lot more, but those are my 3 favorite ones to start with somebody who's having trouble with their meditation.
And you mentioned moving meditation. Could you delve a bit further on that and explain exactly to the listeners what exactly that would entail?
Yes, absolutely. So moving meditation would be anything that doesn't require, like, it wouldn't be like driving a car or like playing football or something where you have to be alert to your surroundings and be controlling what your body's doing, more than just a minimal amount. So an example would be walking barefoot in the grass with a very purposeful, like you might think, love and joy. Love and joy with each thought. So you're occupying your mind, which always wants to be busy. Left to its own devices, it will always be busy. You're giving it something to think about, but you're also letting your body flow. And in that flow is some relaxation. You're in your body. So focusing in the body is always the way to come. Like, if you're not trying to meditate and you've got a busy mind, best thing you can do is take a couple of deep breaths and really focus on your body. Your brain will release once you're fully in your body, because your brain's just trying to protect you. And all it knows is the past. And so it will tell you, watch out, be careful, don't fall down, careful, there might be bears there, careful, don't go too far from food, or whatever all that primal stuff is. That's its job. So as soon as you start focusing and getting into your body, now your brain can relax. And so a couple of deep breaths, and then once you're in that state in your body can actually tell you. I've had people with Oprah's help developing a dancing yoga type move, swimming, hiking, this meditative barefoot walking in the grass, which is also combines grounding with the meditative state. I frequently use washing the dishes. I'll wash dishes by hand in a very contemplative way. So my hands are moving, my body's moving. I'm not expecting it to just sit still in the middle of a moving universe, but I'm not actually going anywhere. And it doesn't take any. So I've got the soap, I've got the warm water. It's all very soothing, and I can be very contemplative with it. I can space out doing that for maybe 5 minutes and feel like I've just had the most magnificent meditation in the world. So lots of different ways. But feel into it yourself, I would say. If, for anybody who's listening and wants to try this, try a bunch of different things and see what feels best. Always trust your body, whatever feels best.
And like you mentioned, kind of the music meditation and stuff like that. And I'm just curious, do they touch on the frequencies? Because that's something that they've altered the frequencies with music and stuff like that. So the 440 hertz isn't what's healing to us. I think it's is a 430 or 330. I forget what it is, 334 or 434. So they've modified it. Is that something that you're aware of, or that?
I'm aware of it, but I don't focus on it, because anything that comes with a measurement or numbers or like a recipe card goes contrary to what I believe that has helped me so much, which is to focus on what feels good right now. Not even what felt good 5 minutes ago. Certainly not what felt good yesterday or the day before, the day before. What feels the best to me right now? And when we're coming out of despair or anger or shame or guilt or any of these very low vibration states, we really, because our brains can see way over there joy. We can see other people having fun, and we want to be there. And the brain wants to just jump us right over there. And that doesn't work. It's almost a kinesthetic, almost by braille, feeling your way up the scale. So if I'm down here and I say, okay, I feel awful. This does not feel good. I don't want to stay here. What can I do? What can I think of? What can I say? What can I focus on that will feel better? Okay, I love my baby. I have a baby that I just adore. Okay, I think about the baby. Now I feel here. Now I think about the baby giggling and I feel here. Now I think about the baby giggling and growing up and loving me and making coo 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 and all whatever. And now I'm here. And so I can continue to kind of feel my way up the scale. And that's the skill that I would recommend everybody adopt. You don't have to always use it, but I think you'll find that it always is better than any other choice. We use, a recipe card or actual like recipe, like when you're learning to cook, you use a recipe, but the finest cooks actually don't use a recipe. They know what everything tastes like. They know how much they know if they want to do a little heavier on cinnamon today because that's just how it feels, and they know what the result is that they're going to get. And if you force them to follow some list of ingredients, they check out. They're bored immediately. It doesn't do it because of the expansion. Because even if I wrote that recipe, even if I wrote it yesterday, today I'm a different person. Today is brand new. This moment is brand new. So as we live more and more in the moment, everything becomes fresh. And now anything that we want, we can easily see, we can move to it, we can draw it to us. There's just all these techniques that we can use when we're high vibration that don't work at the lower vibrations. So that's why I don't get really involved in all the megahertz and all that stuff. I know that it's very valuable.
And I think it's kind of like relevant to the kind of craziness that's going on in the world as well,
Yeah.
because, like if you're spending all your time and energy focusing on it and just making it bringing you down
Yes.
without being present, enjoying life. And it's not that you ignore it and just assume it's not happening, but by kind of, I suppose, being in the right vibration, it allows you to, when you do need to do this and touch in and touch out. And the reason I bring that is because I've seen so many people and they try to do different things, they try to make change, and they spend so much time in that they end up walking away from it because they get so depressed because they're putting their energy into, no matter what it is, whether it's clouds or something that's going on in the world. There's a million things we could mention, but rather than mentioning it because you'll affect somebody, because they'll think whatever your belief system is, if they disagree with it, then they go into a low vibration. And so irrelevant of what it is, it's basically like stay in your positive vibration. And I love what you just mentioned earlier, because most people don't do that, half the little things. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I get a blues days maybe once a month. I'm lucky because some people have one good day. I get one bad. That's all I do. It's like I just step away, put on music I like, and just thinking, kind of watch comedies on the different things. And sometimes it's an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and I'm back to myself. And it's kind of touching within, just going within and what makes you feel right.
Yes, absolutely. And I speak to people on a regular basis that are working a really high pressure corporate job, or they're actually working in politics or in the healthcare or the sick care industry, as we like to call it these days. And so they're under a lot of pressure, and they're surrounded by people who are very much out of alignment. And so they're focusing to get into alignment. And I understand completely why a recipe card, and sometimes the recipe is the best place to start. But here's what happens when you're following anybody else's guidance. You can start to feel better if their guidance is better than your old one was, right? But at a certain point, you reach the limit of somebody else's guidance, and you've got to come back to your own. And right at that point, like you said, a lot of people get frustrated and they leave. They leave thinking there's something wrong with them. Do you agree? Like, what's wrong with me? Everybody else can do this. It doesn't work for me. There's something wrong with me. That's like the number one thing. What's wrong with me? And the fact is, there's nothing wrong with any of us. Not even one little iota of anything wrong with any of us. And once you really get over that, then the sky's the limit, and the sky just opens up. The clouds part and the angels sing. It's like, oh, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like what you said, previously, like the movement meditation, about you find something that works with you. And so many people that I talk to them, and I try to guide them in certain ways, or I recommend, and eventually when they get to a certain time, they'll do it. But there's so many people, they'll go to a class or whatever, and because the person is saying, you must sit in the lotus position, you must have your thumbs this way. Then I get people saying, you don't do your thumbs this way because that's demonic, and you must do it this way, and you must breathe this way. And if you've thoughts, you shouldn't have thoughts, you should have a clear mind and all this. And that's why they stop. And I just tell them, no, just find something that feels good for you. You enjoy it. Because then, and you don't have, like, I even put up meditations like for 1 minute because people say, I don't have time. I said, meditations for 1 minute. Just go in and listen to that. If it feels good, it's nice. It was basically, the lady had, she was by the beach and you could hear the waves. And it's just kind of finding something instead of, because unfortunately, the majority of people, they're beating themselves up thinking, something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. I can't do this because this is the way everyone is saying it should be, and it's not. And it's just, it's your own journey. And it's just to be, just be curious and just be in touch with how you feel is the main thing.
Yes. Roy, do you know something I've just discovered about you? You're a vibrational mentor. Welcome, my friend.
Rare.
Leave a new title. Hang it up with all your other titles.
So there's another one now, and I know you touch on that as well. And there's a lot of people. It's procrastination because there's the people. It's I know that I definitely have experienced that, and it kind of comes back every now and again, and you kind of you readjust. But for those that are kind of, I actually at one stage I wrote jokingly that I've created a group, Procrastinators Anonymous. We found it 2 years ago, and we're about to meet. And there was a few people wrote to me saying I'd be interested in that. They actually thought it was serious. So for those that would like to come to the Procrastinators group,
We're going to do it next week.
what would you teach them?
That's hilarious. So procrastination is so funny because, again, it comes back to how does it feel? Sometimes procrastination is infinite intelligence influence on us that it's not the right time. Like if you go to do something and it doesn't work, and or you think you should do something and you think, no, I'm going to do this other thing anyway, or otherwise, and instead, and so when you finally get to it and you realize, wow, if I had done that last week or whenever that was, that I would have gotten this result, and instead I got this result, and it's much better to my liking, much more abundant, or whatever it is. So sometimes that's what procrastination is. And usually that procrastination actually feels okay. It usually feels neutral as long as you don't beat up on yourself for it. It feels like this other thing feels more important or better, and I'm going to do this other thing. And then it all works out. The procrastination that really bugs people, especially when they know about that first type of procrastination, is the one that doesn't feel good, which is either them beating up on themselves or them avoiding something, in which case it's resistance, right? So the first thing about procrastination is to really sit with it and get a feel for which one it is. And once you realize, okay, this is just full resistance because I'm dreading doing this thing, or I always hate doing this thing, or I always get this bad result when I do it, and so of course I don't want to do it. With those kinds of resistance, then we can step in and start thinking about how to release resistance, how to make decisions that actually feel better, like between these two. If this one doesn't feel good, is there another thing that you could do that would get a similar result or that would take you along the way to it? Like, for example, if I have to write a book, I might say, I'm just going to write the foreword today. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to write the foreword and see how that feels. Or I'm going to write, let me start with the last chapter. What do I want to say to the people? Like, okay, now that you've read this entire book, I hope that you have discovered this, this, and this. Okay, I'm going to write that. Now I've got clarity. Now I've got my juices flowing. Now I'm focusing on good outcomes instead of horrible blank page phobia, right? So I've switched my vibration that will actually allow everything to start to flow. So releasing that resistance, and there's at least a dozen different ways, techniques that you can use to release resistance. But as soon as you've done that, you feel the oneness just flow in. In other words, every desire we have, let's say I want to write a book, another book in my case, but let's say I want to write my first book. And I feel so much procrastination about it. I sit down, there's a blank sheet, I get frustrated, and I get up and leave. I force myself to stay for an hour, and then I have a headache, whatever it is. Then when we really get into alignment by releasing that resistance by any means necessary, could mean go for a walk in the woods, take a nap, whatever it is, then when we're feeling at that high vibration, then we can allow that inspiration in. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Start at the end and work backwards, or start in the middle and work forwards and backwards, or some other whatever comes, right? Just so whatever inspiration you have, that feels like fun. That feels different. That puts a different slant on it. Oh, that reframes it. Oh, I can see I was really resisting because of this, but that doesn't even matter. It doesn't exist. So you can start somewhere and then get there in a very happy, easy way, instead of fighting the procrastination or having the procrastination fight you. Yeah.
One of the few things I do, like, because a lot of us have our to-do list. We know exactly what we need to do. But sometimes I just see when there's a lot, I just write down 3 items. Let's get these 3 done. And then you get 3 more. And before you know it, you get a lot. And the other one that I do that I found is very helpful, because we tend to, cross off what we done or highlight it out and everything, is have a what I've done list.
Yes.
And you just start writing down as you do stuff, because we know what we need to do. And that's more inspiring, because you're like, oh, I really got a lot done, as opposed to looking at a list with 30 items and maybe you got 8 done, but there's probably another 20 things that you've done that you didn't even have on the list. And I mean, yeah, some people cheat and they add it just to cross it out, but people all be,
you know that cheating? I love that part.
But I think at the end of the day, it's just great things that work for you, and it's just kind of,
Yes.
but don't be beating yourself up. It's like,
Yeah, but find something that feels good, right? The opposite of beating yourself up. Find ways to give yourself permission, first of all, to feel good. Some people need permission to feel good. They feel like that's unethical or immoral somehow, or letting people down, or going to take them off into hedonism or something. There's always some resistance to feeling good. And when you give yourself permission to feel good, now all of these choices that we're talking about are a lot easier, right?
yeah. And like what you said is very interesting, actually, the way sometimes, we think of procrastination, but we do other things. And then sometimes things get wiped off your list, that they just get done because somebody else done it, or it's no
Yes.
longer needed, or you do it and it's just something that you would have taken a few hours, and just because you're in the right frame of mind, you do it in 20 minutes and you're going,
Yes.
whereas if you force yourself to do some tasks, I've known that myself. I never push myself, because I've learned that if I don't want to be doing it, I'm not going to do it right, and it's not going to be enjoyable, and I just let it go. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, I think I'll do this now, and then you go, oh, that only took a few minutes. And it's a good feeling. Yeah.
Push.
So not to beat ourselves up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a vibrational mentor. I trust that's okay for me to label you that way. It's just my fun label. Take it away a bit.
Okay, your book, From Lonely to Fearless, which is a lovely title. And first of all, there's a load of, like, 344 from what I look at. I mean, I know you've got different countries, you don't see them all in the thing. Like, there's 99% is either 4 or 5 star rating, and only one, and it's 3 star. There's none bad. And I mean, sometimes even people give a brilliant comment and it could be a 3 star. So all positive ratings, like, which is very rare, to be honest with you, because you always get 5 or 10% that is like, oh, worst book of my life and all this kind of, but there was nothing. It's all beautiful comments. So compliments to you. That, I mean,
No, thank you. It's a little surprising to me too, because there is some controversial stuff in there. I mean, it would be easy for someone to read it and say complete hogwash, woo woo baloney, or whatever they could say. And but so far they haven't, and I'm glad for that. But it would be okay if they did, because we are wherever we are. But yeah, so I wrote that book for anyone who's feeling disconnected in any way, shape, or form. So, loneliness is kind of like a placeholder. You know how sometimes we think we're hungry, but it turns out we were actually thirsty, or maybe bored or tired.
I'm just drinking, as you say, like,
You're right. So if we're dehydrated, we could mistake that for hunger. If we're tired, we could mistake that for hunger. So lonely is kind of the same way. When we're disconnected from ourselves, frequently, I think the most frequent explanation or expression of that is, I'm lonely. My husband doesn't pay enough attention to me. My kids have grown up and flown the nest. My job is boring and nobody seems to really, there's no teamwork going on. I wish I could be, somehow connected to people. What we're really saying is we're not connected to ourselves. And we feel, it's frequently described as a hole, like a black hole inside that we're trying to fill. We'll try to fill it with food. We'll try to fill it with drugs or alcohol or pornography or gambling or shopping or, talking too much or whatever it is. We try to fill that hole, and that sense that there's no real hole, to be clear, but this perception of a something missing inside ourselves, that's our connection to ourselves. Whether you call that infinite intelligence or God or source or whatever that is, just inner being or just subconsciousness or identity, like I've heard it called all kinds of things, but we have to connect to it in order to feel whole. Thank God that connection is completely within our control. And so that's a big part of what I do. And that's what I wanted to put into the book. And that seems to be what people are getting from the book. I've got over 40 case studies in there of people that I've helped, including my own. I've told my own story in a couple of different places in the book. And it's really just to help people understand what loneliness is and what it isn't. And some of the myths about, when people say, well, just go join a church or join a club or, just make some friends or, make a phone call, it'll be fine. They're completely missing the point, because it's really a disconnection with ourselves. And so I give lots of meditation advice and suggestions, and a lot of other practical tips on how to start reconnecting with yourself. And as soon as you start feeling that connection and you can build on it and get momentum going, that's probably the most important thing. Because if you do it once and you feel it, and then you let it go, and go back to watching the news or whatever you're doing that's kind of out of alignment, then that symptom is still going to come right back again. So you want to get some positive momentum going. That's, to me, is probably the most important part of what I offer, is just getting people to come in and focus with each other twice a week instead of once a week or once a month or whatever it is. So it's a constant reminder. This is what unconditional love feels like. This is what it feels like to be connected with self. And it's the most glorious feeling compared to anything else we can do in our physical, plane here. And so that's what I wanted to do with the book. And hopefully some people at least have gotten some of that from it.
Excellent. I mean, like you mentioned, they're kind of watching the news, and it's something that I find very strange that, I don't know, I presume it's the same in the States, but like in Ireland and Poland, it's like you get 5 minutes of doom and gloom every hour when you're listening. You just want to listen to music. And it's like, I mean,
I have to give it to you.
I can't turn off the button as fast as, it's and you see, the thing is, like, a lot of people were brought up and it was like, oh, let's sit down and watch the news. Let's sit down. I mean, did you ever walk away from the news going, wow, that was brilliant, I feel way better? It's like you're looking at doom and gloom. And, and there's different things in life that do that to you as well. I mean, personally, I used to watch some horror. I think that does to you. I think the brain doesn't know what's real and what's not. And people that I know that are deep, and I don't want to offend anyone that loves horrors, you do what you like. But I know people that are really into horrors, and they seem to attract a load of negativity into their life.
Yeah.
So does the brain know, and is it the vibration that you're attracting, this kind of thing, and your dreams, when you don't know they're true, is that really rest when you're actually kind of reclaiming? So watch a comedy, watch stuff with love, watch them with happiness, go out and walk, like the different things you're doing. And I think it's just be conscious of everything you're doing and going, is this serving me or is it damaging me? And if you look at it like a weighing scales, just make the love bigger, and then the bad just falls into the dustbin.
Well, exactly. And, some people either they don't know how to compare this to, like, psychologically, or they are comparing it psychologically, but they're not comparing it vibrationally. And so the brain can always make an excuse for, well, we can watch this because they only say the F word 4 times, or because it's only rated PG-13, or because so-and-so recommended it, like the brain can play tricks on you. Your body will not play tricks on you. So if you really tune into your body and practice on easy stuff, practice on, what do I want for dinner? Where do I want to go for, to eat? Do I want to go for a walk right now? Or do I want to do it later? Do I want to turn left or right? When I usually go left to go to work, what happens if I go right? Just like feeling your way through inconsequential, like there's nothing serious going on kind of decisions. And as you practice that, your sensitivity will improve, your sense of discernment will start to get increasingly more and more refined and more accurate, and you'll be practiced so that when the stuff hits the fan, as they say, and some big decision needs to be made, you have a much better chance of being able to make the decision based on how it feels. And especially when it comes to entertainment. And I totally agree with you. We unthinkingly put a lot of garbage into both our vibration and into our bodies with what we eat. And a little bit of mindfulness goes a long way on all of that. But make sure it doesn't stay in the mind. I actually call my business heart set as opposed to mindset, because mindset changes kind of imply it's all in the mind. Whereas a true lasting change happens in the body. So heart set, body set, you could even call it. Change your body set and watch the miracles happen in your life. And some of us just do it very naturally, and others of us need to be remembered, because we all came to this physical plane. When we were born, we were very in our bodies, right? You pinch a baby, they'll cry, they'll, no. But pinch an adult and they'll frequently go, well, that wasn't too bad, I can take it, or what did I...
I'm just wondering how many babies you've pinched.
No babies were pinched in the making of this video. I promise. But we're all born with this knowledge, and then we let ourselves get culturally indoctrinated away from being in our bodies, fully focused in our bodies. And so this is just remembering, and it can come back really fast. To me, that's the most important thing, that anybody who's struggling right now, just know this can turn around very quickly, very quickly. Don't ever give up. Start now. Start now.
Beautiful, beautiful. A nice way to end this. So I know that the book, I'll be reading the book. So I'd love to have you back in the early, maybe in January. So then
I'd love to.
The listeners then as well can write into me, ask questions. I make a list. So if there's some stuff that based on our conversation, or perhaps they've read your book, or I hope they will, because I think based on listening to what you've just said, they should go out and buy it. So you might let people know where they can find you, Ramona.
Well, I'm at RamonaGaley.com, and I'll just tell you, I have a special gift for your audience. When you get to my homepage, RamonaGaley.com, scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a little button there that says private. Push that button. It will take you to a private podcast with me discussing lots of different terms and concepts, authenticity, imposter complex, lots of different terms. With various guest hosts. And so there's a whole slew of private podcasts there for their enjoyment. And there's a money off coupon that your audience can use should they decide they wanted to use my services. So $250 off right now. That could change, but yeah, significant money off. And I'd love to have them join me over there at that private podcast. I'll have a lot of fun.
Excellent. I'll make sure I put the link button, the audio in the video. Thank you very much.
Thank
for a beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
So that's all for the meditation podcast. You'll find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, and comment. We love to read your comments. And as I mentioned, we're going to have Ramona back in the new year, so let me know what you'd like me to ask her. Until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you can find my 6 podcasts on roycollin.com or scan the QR code if you're looking to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, help with that. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, we also have that service. And you can help the show by visiting the store, supporting our sponsors, or making a donation. Until next week, take care.